As we continue the series in the long anticipation for the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania, up next is WrestleMania 17. It took place on April 1, 2001 at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas, in front of 67,925 fans that brought in a $3.5 million gate and an impressive pay-per-view buy rate of 1,040,000. It was the first WrestleMania after the purchase of WCW, and the first to see a rematch to a WrestleMania main event, this without a tournament to consider. Jim Ross and Paul Heyman sat at commentary, with Coachman, Michael Cole, and Kevin Kelly at interviews. The event is considered by some to be the best WrestleMania in history, from the main event between Stone Cold Steve Austin versus WWF Champion The Rock to the legendary TLC match for the tag titles. It can also be argued to be the peak of the Attitude Era. One of the most memorable moments was Stone Cold's heel turn. Some loved it, some didn't welcome it. Even with the purchase of WCW, other than seeing WCW stars at the show, they weren't utilized whatsoever. Rather than rebook the whole card, we are leaving most of the card as it was, make a few changes and provide some alternate main events for this WrestleMania. Legends Battle Royal. Instead of mocking gimmicks, which didn't make a whole lot of sense considering the Attitude Era had plenty of gimmicks, we would introduce it as a Legends Battle Royal with a trophy. Darsow plays Smash from Demolition instead of Repo Man. We would add in Briscoe and Patterson for some flavor. No need for the Gooker either. Sheik wins the trophy, but Slaughter would break it in half and put on the sleeper on the Sheik. Vince McMahon versus Shane McMahon for the ownership of WCW in a street fight. This would up the stakes between the two as Shane, who in storyline purchased WCW, puts the whole company on the line against Vince. Vince had sued Shane because of the purchase, which led to the match. If Shane wins, he keeps WCW. Shane, who walks out with Stacy Keibler as his valet, triumphs with the help of those WCW stars in attendance who run in against some undercard WWF stars who tried to help Vince. This begins the seeds of the invasion and Shane's heel turn. Shawn Michaels and the Appa versus Right to Censor in a six-man tag. Instead of Taz, who we would prefer going for the hardcore title at WrestleMania, we would have Shawn lead the Appa against the Right to Censor, Goodfather, Val Venis, and Buchanan. Shawn was originally meant to return at WrestleMania 17, but based on talent reaction, his fallout with Triple H for not being clean, and concerns about his bad back, the idea was scrapped. The Right to Censor start to blame Shawn Michaels for starting all the raunchy and foul things happening in the WWF. This provokes Shawn, who makes a return for one more match with the Appa by his side and triumphs at WrestleMania. Alternate main event 1. The Rock, C. versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWF Championship. We would book it just as it went down with the exception of how it all ends. Austin does in fact get help from Vince McMahon and finally wins the title, even as Junior says he sold his soul to the devil. As Austin and McMahon celebrate, Austin stuns McMahon. The following night on Raw, Austin explains that he was afraid he couldn't beat The Rock, that he would have done anything to win the WWF title, so he made a deal with Vince shortly before the match to guarantee that he walks out as the champion. Austin says he has never been 100% since his injury and the surgeries that followed, especially after being run over by a car, so he did what he had to do. However, he doesn't give a damn about honoring deals. Vince manages to force Austin into doing Vince's bidding after Austin had actually signed on that he would. Austin hates working for Vince, antics follow, but Austin eventually gets out of the deal during the invasion angle as Vince breaks the deal he had with Austin so he could join Team WWF. Alternate main event 2. Kurt Angle, C. versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWF Championship. Instead of Rikishi, we would find out it was Kurt Angle who ran over Stone Cold as he had the most to gain in getting rid of Austin since he quickly climbed to the top when Austin wasn't around. Angle, who denies it, would avoid Austin for months on end, even gets a restraining order till outdoor footage was found showing it was indeed Angle abandoning The Rock's car. Angle admits to it after beating The Rock at No Way Out, leading to the main event at WrestleMania. Austin would triumph in the match, brutalizing Angle into a bloody mess, and with 3 back-to-back stunners, he becomes the new WWF champion. Alternate main event number 3, Triple H, C. versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. We would go back to Raw on November 6, 2000 and have Triple H actually save Austin instead of revealing he was the one responsible for hiring Rikishi to run him over. Triple H would then have a run as a tweener, who would continue his feud with Kurt Angle over Stephanie. Stephanie allegedly cheats on Triple H with Kurt as Triple H files for divorce. This leads to Triple H beating Kurt for the WWF title at the Royal Rumble. At WrestleMania, with Triple H still a tweener, we would have Stone Cold turn heel by joining with Vince, and some assistance from Stephanie who wanted revenge, to win the WWF title, while making Triple H a full-on face thereafter. What was your favorite alternate main event? What did you think of the other changes? Comment, like, subscribe, and thank you for watching In the Plot.